Hello there, Hidden Hermit. How you doing? So thanks for joining me. I just wanted to share my thoughts about what's going on in the heavens at the moment, specifically about the full moon in Capricorn. Today's date is July the 16th, 2019. It is about 4:30 in the morning where I am. And yes, we do indeed have a full moon coming up in about 16 hours time, and there is indeed a partial lunar eclipse as well. So to illustrate what I'm talking about, I'm going to be using the She-Wolf Tarot. The She-Wolf Tarot is currently calling to me, I'd say. It's a beautiful deck. But yeah, well, I say calling, it's more like an insistent banshee scream for attention, which is fun. So you're probably going to be seeing that a lot more. So yeah, here is a moon, but of course, if you know anything about tarot, we really should be looking at the High Priestess. So here is the card that symbolizes the moon, and it is a full moon, which means, well, what does it mean? I mean, I find it very interesting that a lot of people are into their full moon manifesting, and yet a full moon astrologically is indeed the aspect with the sun is an opposition. So you've got to think about it like this: a reversed sun with a reversed moon. I mean, conjunctions, when it's a new moon, are very good. You know, they're bringing out the best in each another. But when they're in opposition, there's a conflict of energies. Now, the moon is going to be in Capricorn. So if you can imagine, there we go, a little bit of a devil and a moon going on there. And the sun is going to be in Cancer. Now, astrologically, if you're taking the, well, a bit of light going on there, I don't know. It's a full moon, isn't it? So maybe I should be doing this. There you go. Cool. So yeah, excuse me, the sun. The sun is in Cancer. The moon is in Capricorn. Now, the sun sounds perfectly happy in Cancer. It's bringing forth, you know, that wall of personality to that sensitive Cancer side. That's fine. The moon, however, in Capricorn is in its detriment. And again, we are thinking about an opposition. So I think what I'm trying to say is just be a little bit careful. I mean, again, you know, a lot of people talk about full moon manifesting, which is fine. You know, I can see why, because the moon is incredibly visual. There's a aesthetic sense about the moon that's beautiful. You know, it's inspiring, and full moons, you know, they're amazing. They're absolutely beautiful. And the moon in Capricorn as well is also, you know, you're thinking about the material things around you, how you exert yourself. But you need to be careful because the moon is in its detriment in Capricorn. The Capricorn energy overpowers the moon a little bit, if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. There's a lot to think about, to be perfectly fair, to be perfectly honest. Now, there are a few other aspects to this full moon tonight. There is, of course, a partial lunar eclipse. This is a black moon astrology card. Now, lunar eclipses are great. I mean, the last lunar eclipse back in January of 2019, I thought was amazing. I was out at stupid o'clock chatting to a dear friend who was in the States, and we kind of shared the eclipse at the same time, which was a beautiful, beautiful moment. But it is only a partial eclipse. Now, we should be able to, providing your skies are clear, you should be able to experience it in its different degrees on where you are on the planet, but you should experience the moon just clipping the Earth's shadow. It should be quite fun. However, that you do have to think about what that is. So you have this sun-moon opposition, and then you have right down the middle the Earth actually making an astrological aspect between them two. So I mean, think about that. Think about that from a symbolic sense. Okay, the moon is in an Earth sign, and then the Earth is going to be in the middle of it. Just think about what that might mean. A lot of grounding things going on. And then we also have one of these pesky full moons that as soon as it reaches totality, and I'll give you some times in a little second, as soon as it reaches totality, it's going void of course. Now, a void of course moon is when the moon no longer makes any major aspects to any other planet. So it's kind of just like on its own a little bit. Now I realise that, it's making an opposition with the sun, which may not necessarily be a good thing, and it's also with the Earth slam bang in the middle of it. Again, think about that. Now, yeah, and it's again a void of course moon. I personally do not like working with void of course moons. You just got to imagine the moon being all lonely out there. Yes, we can appreciate it from an aesthetic sense, from a visual sense, but there's that idea that it's just not making friends or enemies with any other planet at that time. And as soon as the moon hits full moon totality, it pretty much goes void of course. And again, you've got to consider the fact that it's going to be full in its resplendent shininess, but with the Earth shadow just clipping through it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, it's going to be void of course for another 12 hours before it enters Aquarius. So again, what am I trying to say? That there's something else that we have to consider. Hey, box. Something else we have to consider as well, because pretty much the whole sky is retrograde at the moment. Mercury is currently retrograde. Pluto is currently retrograde. Neptune is retrograde. And Saturn is retrograde. All these retrograde planets. Ouchie. Ouchie, ouchie, ouchie. So the moon is in a particularly poor position at the moment. So my suggestion is, I know a lot of people out there do moon rituals, and the moon is a fantastic body to work with because it goes through so many energies throughout the 29-day cycle that it goes through all the signs. And I'm no different, I prefer new moon rituals because it's that conjunction. It's that conjunction with the sun. So depending on what sign it is in, you're getting lots of different energies coming through. But hey, the other thing, there are more things to consider, and it's all about timing at this point. So I've taken the liberty. This box really does want its attention, doesn't it? It's a cracking box though. But here we go. Here's some timings for you, and I wasn't going to do timings for the whole year, whole planet. So if you're in the UK like I am, totality is at 10:38 and 15 seconds. The moon actually rises at 9:06, meaning 21:06, and the eclipse will finish at 1:17. Now, it is my suggestion that you, if you're doing any if you're working with the moon, do it before 10:30, which is when you get the maximum of the eclipse. Okay. Here's the time for the eastern seaboard in the United States. So yeah, totality is at 5:38. Again, after this time, it's void of course all the way until it enters Aquarius. A good 12 hours later. Pacific time is at 2:38. So all I'm trying to say is, don't put, I mean, we all like to put our hopes on the moon, but less so at this time. And I'm not trying to be a fearmonger or anything like that. It's just something to think about. The moon is so changeable, and she's very sexy, but she's incredibly changeable. And just bear in mind, I think the most important points are that the sun is in Cancer, which is fine. The moon is in Capricorn, which is woo. It's opposition, so I think the sun is the stronger of the two luminaries at this time. Yes, it is a full moon, and it's going to be waning all the way up until 10:38 UK time. However, there's going to be a little bit of a chunk taken out of it with the Earth shadow falling on it. The Earth, with the moon in an Earth sign, and then as soon as it goes to totality, it's void of course. Void of course, a lonely luminary not making any aspects. All I'm just saying is, just be mindful of these things. be a little bit careful, but absolutely get outside and look at the moon. Look at the moon and see if you can experience that clip of the, because if anything, it's going to be really, really pretty. Thanks for watching.